firms are thinking about what does their future look like, and more conversations, and we've been talking about the succession challenges that have been facing accounting firms and lack of capacity resources for the last 25 years. So this isn't new news.
We had excellent leaders that needed to be developed.
Yeah.
And I had a business partner who, was of a certain age, really comfortable in their role. And we got to a point where we needed to shake it up, like for us to really be able to develop the people and the processes and the systems and the leadership opportunities that we would need to be successful long term. We had to get everybody absolutely on the same page.
The foundation of what that is talent. And so again, we talk the top line numbers, but top line numbers only mean so much. It's a guide of setting expectations. It's a guide to get people's brains thinking about the size, the scale, the volume of talent that we're going to need to support a firm like that. It's not necessarily the goal itself.
If the profession's honest with itself, over the last 3 years, as we did disperse as a profession, I think that the training might have been the biggest loss in all of the dynamics. So we had revenue growth and client growth and service growth and all this growth, but I actually think the training and the upskilling went down because no one knew how to do it. And then, we did it online, and how many online courses have you been to where no one's camera's on? Everyone's checking their email or working on a file or whatever it is. So, and I think we're seeing that not only internally, but when we get candidates coming across who come from other firms that we know historically have had great training programs, and these individuals, there's a skills deficit.
But it's always been, hey, there's a whole bunch of folks that are approaching retirement age. Do we have the next generation of leadership in place? And I know Winding River is heavily focused, as the managing partner bootcamp is, on that next generation of leadership. So it's more real today, in the sense that many of the partners that were leading accounting firms are into their 60s and late 50s, and the younger generation is looking at them and do they have the horsepower to maintain the growth that they've aspired to have.
Most of the firms that we merged up with, the reason that they were excited about it was because my partner and I are in our 30s. Right. They were salivating at the idea that we were going to help them retire. And then we were supposed to wait to see some financial report until after that.
30 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no thanks. I've already put in a lot of years in this business.
So, ultimately our founder chose to leave. He needed to either leave or retire. And so he chose to leave. And I looked to my two younger partners and said, all right, guys, you're the men of the house now. Take it away. And they did. And as our firm grew, we figured it out as we went along.
Historically, you've been telling people to focus specifically on, providing this compliance service or, really pushing out a tax return or getting this thing done. And now what we're trying to do is train them to think differently, right? Train them to think about the bigger picture for that client and not just saying, okay, what can, is their tax return ready or what can we do, from an audit perspective, but really holistically, like what does this client need? How can we service them?
And how is this going to transition to me? And I don't want to work as hard as maybe that prior generation of leadership. And can I use technology to make myself more efficient? And am I willing to offshore to gain capacity benefits? And all those things we're dealing with as a firm at BDO.
We talk a lot about becoming a leadership factory is another term we use a lot internally. And we kind of hang our hat on that, and we use it a lot. We talk about it a lot. It's very top of mind. It's in front of all of our team at all levels. We think about leaders as our partners, our principals, but we have leaders at every level inside the firm. And so we really pound that drum trying to get everybody to help us there.
But for us, it's going to continue to give a different level of resources to those firms that say, okay, all right, we acknowledge it. We see the future, right? We're a $5 to $20 million firm. We see the future. We know what needs to happen, but we don't know if we can get there on our own. And we need to have the right level of the next generation of leaders to help us get us there.
I'm glad you didn't ask like, hey, what's your definition of leadership? Because I've never really like penned that. But what I know is there are lots of different definitions of leadership that are out there. I think that the defining characteristic though that would be in any definition is that leaders have followers. And as a profession, I think we all kind of have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, what does the talent shortage, the pipeline problem tell us about our followership?
Yeah.
Do we have a high degree of followership? The answer is kind of no.
Right.
We don't. And so for me, I'm very passionate. I'm really glad that Winning Ways is about leadership development, because I think that is the answer to the pipeline problem. It's not the 150-hour rule, or we got to go into the high schools and tell them how great accounting is. Those might be good ideas, but I really believe that we've got to fix leadership in the profession and have that trickle all the way down in the organization. Because if you get that right, you're going to build great firms that people want to be a part of, and they're going to do a great job for clients. And that's really what we need to kind of turn around this trend.